Hello, this is Hassan Adil, and today I will be going over my GCSE Geology master plan. These are the resources that I use for my GCSE Geology. Don't worry, I've just spread everything out. It's not all too much to handle. The photo that you saw contains all of these resources, and that includes the specification, my school notes, which were provided by my teacher, an online textbook which your teacher might give you access to on an online platform like Office 365, and they may also give you access to practice questions on the online resource. This is an image of the specification from the EDUCAS exam board. You can download it yourself. It's approximately 40 pages, and however it's only a list of all the topics. I must thank my geology teacher, Dr. Stephen, for spending countless hours on preparing resources for us as a class. On this slide and over the next few slides, you'll see all the notes that he's prepared. On the left-hand side, we have the basic mathematical skills. In the center is mineralogy, and then on the right-hand side is igneous rocks. The next three chapters are sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rocks, and forms of pressure underground. These are followed by plate tectonics, planetary geology, and applied geology. Pictured here is my geology folder in which I've printed off the specification in order to file it away and keep things organized, and I have also printed off a textbook which was kindly provided by my geology teacher, Dr. Stephen, once again, on Office 365. Next question is, what does the exam look like? Well, there will be two components, which will be either on screen or your school will request for the exam to be printed off. It is likely that the first exam will be done on screen, for which you'll have 1 hour 15 minutes, and that will be worth 50% of the qualification, and the types of questions are listed as below. The second paper is more likely to be requested by schools to be printed off, as you'll have to apply your knowledge to a provided geological map. And based off of the questions and the maps that you're given, you'll have to answer questions. This exam will be an additional 15 minutes, so 1 hour and 30 minutes, and is worth the other half of your qualification. So what types of questions will come up in the exam? Well, firstly, there will be simple 1-mark questions in which your answer should be short and to the point. And if you aren't entirely certain, then you could try and come up with another point and add that on. Next, you have 2-mark questions, which may ask for additional information or maybe an explanation, in which you'll have to give at least 2 or 3 points in order to gain the marks. Next, you have 3 or 4-mark questions. These tend to be comparison or analysis questions, in which you need to give more detailed responses. And there are also 6-mark questions, in which a detailed explanation will be necessary in order for you to gain full marks. One rule which is applicable in all exams is the listing rule. If you, for example, in a 2-mark question, give 3 different points, and 2 of them are correct and 1 is incorrect, then because of the listing rule, then despite having 2 correct answers, you'll only gain 1 mark because you've written an incorrect answer. One key thing to remember is to look at the keyword in the question and make sure that you're answering it based on the command word. Is the question asking you to explain, or to describe, or to compare, or to analyze? One additional thing with geology is that many questions will be multiple choice, in which you'll have to decide which 2 of these 5 statements are true. Those will tend to be 2 or 3 marks, no more than that. However, it can be worth up to 8 marks. In the month or so coming up to your exam, you'd need to be revising things repeatedly from all your resources. So a good way to do this is to list all of your resources and to add in additional columns in front of them and write in the date at which you've completed that resource. As you can see, I went through the specification only twice. However, I read through my school notes at least 5 times coming up to the exams. You can also see that I've done practice questions, and that date there is when I completed all sets of the practice questions. Here is a blank copy of my revision plan, and one thing that I do want to emphasize is to ensure that you're doing as many practice questions as possible. The more practice questions you do, the more familiar you become with the mark scheme, and thus should a question come up which you've already practiced, or a question comes up which is similar to one you've practiced, you will know what the mark scheme is, and then you can put down the correct answer straight away. Some additional points for exam preparation include the revision plan as above, and most importantly to do practice questions. And here I've got this resource called Free Exam Papers, and as you can see in the image, that has exam papers dating all the way back to the June of 2011. So this is a huge resource if you want to do a lot of practice questions. And where the examiner would give you a mark, and then at that point you can just write that down and then in the exam, and then you'll gain the mark. Another very useful tip is when you're doing practice questions to write down the answer in longhand, so that when you go through it yourself you understand where you went wrong, because in the exam you'd be writing down or typing out a full answer. And finally, best of luck to your GCSE exams.